Welcome to the Pathways to Profitability podcast, personal tales of business success, where we hear local business owners' personal stories of their trials and tribulations that got them to where they are today. Here's your host, Cheryl Mucha, CEO of CFO Your Way.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. I am super excited about this conversation that we are going to have with Michael DeLon, president of Paperback Expert. Michael, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with me today.
Cheryl, you are so welcome. I've been looking forward to this. It's going to be such a fun conversation. Thanks for having me.
So I'd like to just give our audience a little bit of a background of who Michael is, and then we'll get into the deep dive of all about the company and how you started and all that good stuff. So just give us a brief background.
Yeah, well, all right. So I always tell people, listen fast, because I'm going to give you the big background in a really short period of time, okay? And that'll give us lots of things to talk about. So first of all, I'm a follower of Christ. I've been married 32 years. My wife and I got married in 90. And the first 5 years of our marriage, Cheryl, were like this. My wife and I are complete opposites. And so we fought. And even though she and I grew up in church, nobody taught us how to be married. And so we really struggled in the first few years of our marriage. We finally went to a marriage conference from a ministry called Family Life, and they revealed to us God's blueprints for marriage. And I didn't know God had blueprints. So we got those blueprints, we applied them, our marriage started to grow. At that time, I was working in Christian radio, selling Christian radio to local business owners. I learned pretty quickly, business owners did not want to buy Christian radio. They wanted to sell their products or their services. So I had a choice to make, Cheryl. I could either become really good at selling or really good at marketing. So I chose marketing. I read the books, I went to the seminars, I followed the gurus, and I learned how to do marketing for small business owners. So my business started to grow because I helped my clients' business grow. Now, fast forward, that was at like early 90s. Fast forward to about 2000, God led us out of that Christian radio station to a startup.com. When I was out trying to sell websites and banner ads to car dealerships who didn't even have websites. So I did that for a couple of years, but that company was ahead of its time, Cheryl. That means it went bankrupt. And so I found myself staying in my living room one day, looking up at the ceiling going, God, what am I supposed to do now? And he spoke to my heart. He says, Michael, I want you in a ministry to families, and I want you at Family Life, that ministry that changed our life. I said, wow, why didn't I think of that? And so we raised our support for 2 years because it's a missionary organization. We moved from Indiana down to Little Rock, Arkansas, which was their world headquarters. And I thought I hit nirvana. Man, Cheryl, why would I ever leave this place? It did everything that I wanted to do is help people build marriages and families.
Wow.
So I served there. 6 years later, I was on the leadership team of that ministry, Cheryl. And then they started going through those corporate reorganizations. Well, after the third reorg, they rolled out the new chart and my name was no longer on the leadership team. Yeah, that's what I said. So they started shuffling me around the ministry. And that was the beginning of a 2-year, what I call prison term, because I found myself in a job that I hated at a ministry that I loved. So after 2 years, I finally gave up. I said, I got to get out of this thing. God, what can I do? And he said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to go help small business owners with marketing because they struggle with it. They hate it and I love it. And he said, go. So on January 1st of 2013, I escaped from prison and I started a marketing consulting firm in Little Rock, Arkansas. And I'd call you. I'd say, Cheryl, I think I can help you grow your business. You'd meet with me. We'd have a great conversation. And you'd say, Michael, what have you done in the last few years? Who have you helped? And I'd say, I've helped build marriages and families at Family Life. And you'd say, Michael, that's honorable. Way to go. Oh, look at the time. I've got another meeting. Let's reschedule. And you'd usher me out the door. Nobody would hire me. And I said, okay, I got to fix this. So I went to my church, second floor. I remember where it was. I was pacing the hallways saying, God, how do I help Cheryl? Because I know I can. And he said, Michael, I'm going to take all your marketing strategies and put them in a book. And so I did. Wow. So I published my book on marketing. Then, Cheryl, I would call you and set an appointment. I'd mail a copy of my book to you. A week later, I'd walk into your office for our meeting, and there it was. My book was on your desk. It was dog-eared, highlighted, underlined. You'd read my book. And in that meeting, you'd say, Michael, in your book, you said, how do you help me do that? And you'd hire me. And the next person, I started gaining clients. Now, Cheryl, the only thing that changed between those two meetings was the fact that I read a book. And so I asked myself, I said, why don't business owners do this? This is so cool. Well, it's challenging to write a book. There's lots to it. And so we created a process where now we work with busy business owners who are experts at what they do, and we help them create a book without writing a word, and then we teach them how to use the book in their marketing to gain clients, get referrals, and grow their revenue. That's what I get to do. That's who I am and how I got here. Whew, I hope that gave you
And that answers a lot of my questions that I was hoping to lead the conversation to.
well, we're gonna dive deep anywhere you want to go.
So, that was your first book, books that follow?
Yeah, well, I think I've written now 7 or 8 other books.
Wow.
And most of them are around marketing in some area. A couple divert into other things, but most of them are around marketing.
So your clients, they come to you, they write a book. I'm guessing it could be on pretty much any topic.
Well, in anything business related. So for instance, Cheryl, do you know anything about business finances? Right? You're an expert.
I don't know, Michael.
I don't
do
know.
I?
Do I have here's what I get all the time. I don't know if I have enough information to write a book. Give me a break. If you're a business owner,
Right.
if you're out, you have plenty of knowledge in your head. Here's the struggle. You don't know how to get it out or how to structure it. That's what we do. So our clients don't write books. I tell people, Cheryl, all the time, never write a book. Okay? It takes too long and you'll kill yourself trying to do it because of self-editing. What you want to do is speak to write your book. And with today's technology, with AI, with Google Docs, with Word, they will dictate your words, speak to write your book. Our entire process is interviewed based with our writers asking you questions, Cheryl.
Right.
You're speaking your content, and then our writer takes your content, massages it into your book. Every business owner I work with is an expert at what they do. We just position them as an expert in the mind of their audience.
Right. It's fascinating. I have a million books up here in my head.
There you go.
And one of them is just all the stories I can tell about all the situations I've experienced in the real world with clients, or how we help them. Like that could be a huge book in and of itself.
Oh, totally. And it would be so compelling. I mean, one of my favorite books of all time was The 1 Minute Manager. Remember that from Ken Blanchard? What was it? It was a parable. It was a story that I could almost retell right now because of the way it wove everything. Movies are stories. That book that you just mentioned, it would be great to be compelling. People would read it because they will remember the stories, and every story would relate to a point of why you need to work with Cheryl, right? At the end of the day. That'd be a phenomenal book to write.
Hey, I'll put it on my my bucket list, right?
There you go. There you go.
You'll be hearing from me.
Absolutely. We can get that thing knocked out.
So, fascinating story. I love the breaking out of prison, being in prison and kind of breaking out of prison. I love that visual. And I'm guessing the feeling and the emotion that came with that was pretty powerful, and being led to the next step in your journey.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I could dive deep there into the journey or the feelings, because it was both super exciting and scarier than anything I've ever done.
I mean, any entrepreneur that takes that leap, it's so scary. It's the fear of the unknown. Like, we all have it up here.
Yes.
What we want to do, what we're capable of, what knowledge we bring to the table, but to actually, like you said, go out and sell. Like, I never sold a day in my life, but
and the audacity of me, a ministry guy, to go out and say, I can help you grow your business. You're a business owner. You know all this stuff. Right? I mean, So it took a lot of faith and a lot of guts to get out there and just go. But that's what we do as entrepreneurs. We put ourselves out there. And well, we can talk. We can go deep anywhere you want to go. But I got so much to share.
So much to dive into here. Yeah. But that entrepreneur journey and taking that initial leap and just figuring it out.
Yeah.
It's then it becomes trial and error, and we, some works, some doesn't. We take the good with the bad, and we mold our businesses into what they are, and we continue to mold. I mean, I'm 10 years into my business. I'm still making changes.
Well, totally. And that's normal because I have recreated my business not less than 10 times in 10 years. Okay.
Right.
I feel like a pinball. You ever play pinball, right? Ding, 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 ding.
Mhm.
I feel like the pinball, right? When I started my company, because I went out thinking I knew what business owners wanted. So that's what I started with. I found out very quickly that's not what they wanted. So I had to learn from the market, pivot, and change. I started 3 or 4 different, types of marketing consulting firms trying to do different things. When I created my book and the floodgates kind of started opening, I went, okay, wow, I think I'm onto something. How do I market this thing now? Because that's what business owners are always thinking about. So I was marketing primarily locally at that time. And so and I don't even know if Facebook was a thing back then. Here's the principle that I leaned on. Go to where the people are. So I thought, okay, where are my people? Where are business owners gathering? And back in that day, it was BNI.
Right.
And so I remember sitting on a bed. It was a Wednesday night. I Googled BNI networks at Little Rock. I found about 7 of them. One of them met the next morning at 7 a.m. and another one met the next day at noon. I called them. I went to both of them.
Wow.
And I sat there, Cheryl, rooms full of like 20, 30 business owners. And, everybody does their dog and pony show, their 1-minute speech.
Right.
Most of them are like, blah, 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 blah,
Mhm.
blah. I'm blah, blah, blah. I got up. I said, I'm Michael DeLon with Paperback Expert. I can help you create your book without writing a word and position you as the expert in your market. Every head in the room went, what?
Yep. You woke everyone up.
That changed my business and my life. So I went to where the people are in business. That's what you have to do is where's your audience and go to them with a compelling message.
Right.
And that's really, Cheryl, where I find most business owners are floundering is they don't have a clear, compelling message to their audience.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sometimes it takes years to find that message and hone in on that message.
It doesn't have to.
It doesn't
And
have to.
here's the secret. Okay, are you ready for the secret? Take your phone, take your laptop, invite a friend out to coffee. Hit the record button and ask your friend to ask you questions about your childhood, your hobbies, your school, your why do you do what you do, and answer those things.
Right.
And then listen to the answers. And what you're going to find is a theme through all of those answers. And you're going to learn that there is something unique about you that makes you what you start using that in your marketing. And it's going to start compelling people. It's going to separate you from everybody else.
Right. Because we are our business.
We are. And people buy you, Cheryl, more than what you do. But in business, we don't do that. We talk about our accolades and all, and nobody cares. I want to know who you are. So it's hard to do that yourself, to find that yourself. Take a friend to lunch. Have them ask you these questions. Record them. Listen to them. It's not that hard when you have a third party, and that's why we do what we do, but you can do it yourself.
Right. Yeah, to get that pure honesty because you're just speaking with a friend.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because isn't that what business should be? Doing business with friends?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I had another question and I just lost it.
Well, that's right.
What else you want to talk about, Michael?
Yeah. My daddy would always say, hey, if it's important, it'll come back to you.
And it just did. So if I may.
Absolutely.
So pandemic hit. What happened in your business? How did you have to pivot to reach those people? Because now it wasn't a face-to-face interaction. It's a virtual interaction. We have to figure out how to do business. Mm-hmm. What happened in your business?
Yeah, our business grew dramatically through COVID, praise God. And what we did to do that is I do a lot of video. Okay. I do not only Zoom, right? I do webinars, but I use a company called Loom, Loom. And it's a video-based platform that allows me to send short videos through email that are really personal. And so
I love that because I've gotten some of those videos and it's like, wow, like this is cool. Michael took the time to do this, and it's probably quicker than, again, typing an email, but it's so memorable.
Good. Thank you. I appreciate that. And that's exactly why I do it, because you can't get this through
Right.
email, right?
Right.
And this is who I am. So I did that a lot. I started doing free online trainings for my audience, where for 25 minutes or so, I would teach on a topic of something. And the only call to action at the end was like, if you want more information, schedule a call with me. But I spent 20 to 25 minutes unpacking a marketing principle, like just what we talked about, how to clarify your message. I can talk about that forever. I spent 25 minutes talking about that, saying, this is what you need to do to start clarifying your message. Hey, in a couple of weeks, we're going to come back and do another one. I did one on our gifting strategy, because we send food items, gifts in the mail to our prospects and our key influencers. And I did an entire training around that. That's been one of the most watched trainings I've ever done. And it's free on my website. And it teaches you how to show up differently, because most business owners, Cheryl, are what I call coffee beans. Okay, I love coffee, but if you pour out coffee beans on your table, they all look the same and they smell the same.
Right.
And in business, if you look like and sound like all of your competitors, you're not giving me a reason to lean in, and you're not capturing my attention. And so our marketing systems and strategies that we teach our clients are all about showing up differently. Sometimes it's video. Sometimes it's a thank you in the mail, a handwritten thank you in the mail.
Right.
Sometimes it's a gift. Sometimes
it's lost art, right? Handwritten.
Oh, the lost art. Absolutely. And it's all of these different, what I would call old school systems of marketing that make such a major impact. I was doing an interview yesterday, Cheryl, and the host got on, and I was on his, he was on my podcast, I don't know, 5-6 months ago. And through my system of sending things to him and everything, he gets on before we ever got on the podcast. He's like, Michael, dude, you're awesome. My kids love you because of the candy you send to me. He's like, you're a household name. I'm like, that's what I want. Here's the principle.
The future entrepreneurs of the world already know you.
That's right. They're like, is that from Michael? So here's the principle behind all of that. If you win the heart, the mind will follow.
Right. It's emotional.
And too much marketing is about the mind. We're trying to convince people. No. Go after the heart first. There comes a time to convince and logic, but it's secondary.
Right.
Win the heart, and most people don't do that.
Right. So. Great. So where can people find these recordings on your website? And how does the audience get in touch with you?
Sure. Paperbackexpert.com is our website. It's the central hub of all things Michael. On that website, there's a credibility calculator you can take. It'll tell you your credibility score in under 5 minutes. And then we'll show you how to improve that score. There are free trainings. Go to the trainings tab. There are some free trainings that we do. You don't have to opt in or anything. You can just watch them and learn from them. You can always schedule a call with me. You can see what we do and how we can help you really clarify your message and position yourself as the expert in the eyes of your audience by creating your book without writing a word. So paperbackexpert.com.
Michael, thank you so much. We could talk on and on and on and on and
we
on.
Absolutely could.
But we'll have to do it again sometime in the near future. But thank you for being here. And thank you to our audience for tuning in. And be sure to visit Michael's website and check out those videos. I know there is a lot to be learned there. Michael is an expert. Thanks for tuning in to the Pathways to Profitability podcast. And we will see you all soon.
That's it for today's episode of Pathways to Profitability. Remember to ask yourself, where can I pay my success forward today?